Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day. Plus, most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news of the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The concrete clues now lead 2 weeks after she was abducted from her home. Tonight, news on the suspect's description, the backpack sold by Walmart, what they're hoping to find out, the gloves found, DNA now recovered, now being tested, and our interview tonight with the sheriff. Their plea to the public now, anyone with doorbell cam video, a Nest cam, a Ring cam, what they're asking neighbors to do tonight. Also breaking, the dramatic new video showing the collision of two U.S. Navy ships, a horn sounding. A destroyer and another ship. There's also late word coming in tonight that a fighter jet was scrambled while President Trump was at Fort Bragg. A plane intercepted. What had them concerned, Martha Raddatz, and what she's learned. Tonight, 2 ICE agents have been put on administrative leave and are now under criminal investigation, accused of lying about shooting a man during the immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. What the agents claimed and what prosecutors are now saying tonight. Just hours from now, the looming partial government shutdown, Democrats refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless there are major changes to these immigration operations, including having ICE agents remove their masks. Dramatic new video released, the plane crashing in the Northeast. Investigators say the pilot was distracted when his door opened on that plane. Tonight, the alarming numbers across this country, more than 900 confirmed cases of measles in the U.S. in January alone, more than we typically see in an entire year. The message from Dr. Oz now about the measles vaccine, and Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making headlines why he was talking on a podcast about snorting cocaine off toilet seats. Tonight, the au pair sentenced for helping to plot a double murder with her former boss, the husband and father of 3, who authorities say she was having an affair with, killing the wife and a stranger lured to that home. Tonight, here, the judge's sentence and her reaction. Tonight, a major brawl breaking out on a passenger jet, the pilot diverting the plane. Tonight, here, the college football star here in the U.S. charged with rape following a year-long investigation. What a judge has decided tonight. And the catastrophic performance for Team USA in Italy today, the quad god, and the stunning moments on the ice. We'll go live to Italy right here. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Tumbler Ridge struggling like this Friday night. How heartbroken families want their loved ones remembered.
She just wanted to bring sunshine to everyone and everything she ever touched.
As federal and provincial leaders arrive in the tight-knit community, the vilification and misinformation spreading about trans people following the Tumbler Ridge shooting.
There's fear around different identities.
We'll fact-check the baseless claims being made. Potential backtracking. Why the U.S. president is reportedly reconsidering those harsh tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. And from perseverance to podium placements and sudden engagements.
I feel like it's bringing together my two loves.
Some uplifting tales from the Winter Olympics.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. There is unity in the face of grief tonight in the town of Tumbler Ridge, BC, as the community reels from the devastating mass shooting that claimed 8 innocent lives earlier this week. The country mourns with them. The Prime Minister arrived in Tumbler Ridge today, along with all federal party leaders, putting aside their political differences to give condolences and grieve with the community. They, along with the BC Premier and provincial officials, will be taking part in a large vigil this evening. 12-year-olds Kylie Smith, Abel Mwansa Jr., Dakaria Lampert, and Zoe Benoit were among those killed on Tuesday. So was 13-year-old Ezekiel Schofield. All of them died in their school, as did 39-year-old education assistant Shonda Abigana Durant. The suspect's mother, 39-year-old Jennifer Jacobs, and stepbrother, 11-year-old Emmett Jacobs, were killed in their home. 2 more victims are in hospital in Vancouver. 12-year-old Maya Gabala, who is in serious condition, and 19-year-old Paige Hoekstra. The shooter, 18-year-old Jessie Van Rootselaar, took her own life. We go now to Chris Galis in Tumbler Ridge, who has more tonight on the aftermath of this tragedy. Chris.
Hello, Colleen, and thank you. Yes, and as you mentioned, this community is still struggling to come to grips with the horror that unfolded 3 days ago in Tumbler Ridge. Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, where it all happened, is still behind police tape. 5 children and an educator, as you pointed out, gunned down there on Tuesday. People in town have been gathering at makeshift memorials, remembering those who were killed. But there's also been an outpouring of support within the community and, of course, beyond it from across the country, especially with the arrival today of federal leaders. The vigil tonight is an opportunity for everybody to come together for some collective healing. And as you can see behind Heather and I, Heather's been here all week as well doing some of the coverage here. People are starting to filter in, and already we're into at least a couple of hundred, maybe close to 300 people. All right, Heather, you've been here all week. You know and have learned a lot about this community since you've been here. They're a resilient bunch, but they are hurting.
They are hurting. This is one of the friendliest communities I have ever encountered, but the media attention has been overwhelming, and people are literally looking forward to seeing the spotlight start to fade away.
A protective barrier now wraps around a memorial of flowers and toys in the center of Tumbler Ridge.
Okay, joining me now from Tucson is Randy Sutton, former Las Vegas police lieutenant and founder of the Wounded Blue, along with Betsy Brantner Smith, retired sergeant and spokesperson for the National Police Association. Thank you both for joining us this evening. Randy, so you heard what the sheriff just told Jonathan about the DNA that was found in the house that does not belong to anyone in close contact to Nancy. What do you make of that?
Well, this is certainly a great lead. It doesn't really mean anything that is cement, but this is a major lead that needs to be followed. Now, I was actually in contact with a DNA expert today who told me there's been some very new technology involving DNA that can actually tell so much information that they can come up with a composite of the person that DNA was taken. This is something I've never heard of before. So this would be something that would be really dramatic if it.
Yeah. What do you mean by a composite?
That this DNA test can actually determine eye color and physical characteristics, and using AI technology can come up with a body type and a rough composite of what that person looks like. And this is the first time I've heard of this type of DNA test. So I thought I was pretty excited about hearing about it. So if this DNA could be, that doesn't belong to anyone that they have found yet. Now, keep in mind, just because they found DNA, it doesn't mean that this is the suspect. Now, here's something we have not heard. We don't know what the scene was inside. Was there disarray? Was there something found that would indicate some type of sexual assault? Was there anything that showed signs of violence? And this is really essential if we're going to come up with some type of characterization of what DNA might be when it comes down to this investigation.
Right. So, Betsy, you heard that interview that Jonathan just conducted with the sheriff, and the sheriff tried to downplay the concerns about his office sending DNA samples to that DNA lab in Florida as opposed to the FBI's far more advanced facility in Quantico. What did you make of his answer there?
Well, Charlie, I live here, and I know that there's a lot of concern in the community
Is the sheriff cooperating with the FBI? Is the sheriff doing everything he can? We're almost 2 weeks into this investigation. Is he doing everything he can to bring Mrs. Guthrie home, including...
Today, the new Liberal leadership team puts housing front and centre as Angus Taylor looks to rebuild coalition support.
We are up to fighting for Australians when it comes to these big economic challenges because they're hurting Australians.
The German Chancellor warns world order no longer exists at the opening of the Munich Security Conference. Egyptian artefacts stolen in a daring heist at a Queensland museum. Snowboarder Josie Bath wins Australia's second gold medal at the Winter Olympics, while Australian snowboarder Scotty James claims his third Olympic podium finish, picking up silver in the men's halfpipe. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Melissa McKay. First to some breaking news. There's been a serious crash on a key road in Sydney's southwest after a police pursuit. Camden Bypass is closed in both directions at Camden, where at least 2 vehicles have crashed at the Old Hume Highway. Both vehicles are badly damaged and multiple police vehicles are on the scene. We will bring you more on this developing story as it comes in. Let's head to Canberra now, where new Liberal leader Angus Taylor says a key focus for the opposition will be making it easier for people to buy their first home. Mr Taylor and his newly anointed deputy, Victorian Senator Jane Hume, have spent their first official day on the job in the city of Goulburn, north of Canberra, after Susan Lee was dumped as leader. Our political reporter Samantha Dick joins me from Parliament House. Hi there, Sam. So how did Angus Taylor use his first day as the new leader of the Liberal Party?
Hi there, Mel. Well, Angus Taylor and his new deputy, Jane Hume, spent this morning talking to some builders and a young family in Goulburn about the right...
Africa News. The news.
A blow for Liberia's former finance minister Samuel Twer. The country's Supreme Court has reaffirmed that Twer and several ex-officials are not protected from prosecution under claims of National Security Council immunity. The move clears the way for one of the country's most high-profile corruption trials in recent history. Former National Security Advisor Jefferson Carmo is among those facing trial alongside Twer. Their charges include misuse of public money, economic sabotage, and theft of property. The indictment claims that in September 2023, funds amounting to more than $1 billion were funneled from the National Security Agency's account to FIA operational accounts and then withdrawn without proper authorization. A date has been set for Nigeria's presidential election. The country announced on Friday that it will hold the vote on February the 20th next year, with a staggered timetable for legislative elections the same day. The vote will test the reform agenda of President Bola Tinubu, who is considered as a candidate for re-election. One of his challengers will be the Labour Party's Peter Obi, who has announced he'll be running in the election. It comes after Nigeria's Upper House of Parliament adopted an amendment enabling live publication of election outcomes. In recent years, the country's election commission has made use of technology aimed at improving the integrity of election results. However, confidence in results remains shaky, with post-election litigations commonplace.
Traditional Dombe boxers traded heavy blows before a cheering crowd in northwestern Nigeria on Thursday. The centuries-old combat sport, rooted in Hausa culture, is a highlight at the Angongo International Fishing and Cultural Festival. For each bout, men wrap one fist tightly in rope and cloth and leave the other hand extended to guard. Dambe is something we inherited from our forefathers. We have been practicing it for generations. It has helped to build strong bonds between us and our friends. We do this every year to keep that friendship alive. Dambe, historically practiced by butchers and warriors, is known locally as the art of the spear and shield. The matches, often brief and explosive, end when other fighter knocks his opponent to the ground or forces him to concede. Dambe is dangerous because you can be injured and someone can lose their lives if you are punched on your mouth or your nose and they are broken. And if you are not lucky, you could be dead. The rough fist called the spear is used to strike, while the open hand acts as a shield for defense. The boxing formed part of activities marking this year's Argungu Festival in Kebbi State.
For decades, a narrow waterway in Gambi, Benin has been a discreet rendezvous point for young couples to meet. Now, the so-called Lovers Channel risks becoming a relic of the past due to loosening social norms and dating apps. Most of the things that took place at this sport kick off from 7:30 p.m. By 7:30, it's already dark, and you cannot easily recognize the man or the woman on that canal.
On ne peut pas reconnaître facilement l'homme ou bien la femme sur ce canal-là.
The rise of social media, where people can easily chat and share photos without having to move, means a canoe ride on these waters is no longer as necessary. This couple met on this waterway. We had no place where we could meet freely. In the past, our parents wouldn't let us go out, and my suitor had to get permission from my uncles, aunts, and other family members before he could visit me at home. It was that street that allowed me to get to know my husband. Time may be marching relentlessly on, but for those who once listened for their soulmates' voices carrying across the dark water, the canal still holds a kind of magic. Lovers Canal Street hasn't disappeared. It still fully serves its purpose. It's here that we still meet our sweethearts, that we swap our numbers scribbled on little bits of paper before phoning each other to arrange romantic dates. A Lovers Square has been created in tribute. While the number of canoes has decreased over the years, couples still meet here to seal or renew their unions.
This is Asia Now.
Hello and good morning. It's 11 a.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 8:30 in New Delhi, 10 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers at this strained surface at the Munich Security Conference as European leaders push for a renewed transatlantic alliance following President Donald Trump's sharp rhetoric. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warns the globe is entering a new geopolitical era. Stepping up pressure on Iran, President Trump confirms a second aircraft carrier is heading to the region, joining one already positioned near Tehran, as reports say that U.S. forces are preparing for a potential weeks-long campaign if required. And congratulations stream in for the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and its leader. India, Pakistan, China, and the United States all voicing support. Analysts say with a strong mandate, the incoming government is likely to prioritize economic growth while carefully managing ties with major powers. European European leaders have taken swipes at the US, rebuking President Trump's criticisms of the continent while calling for a reset in their transatlantic partnership. Strained ties between Europe and the US clouding this year's Munich Security Conference after a series of verbal attacks by Trump, including threats to take Greenland. William Denslow has been tracking the developments on day one of the meeting for CNA, and he files this report from Munich.
World leaders and hundreds of delegates have been meeting behind me at this hotel for the Munich Security Conference. Inside, it is a rather small space, and those I've been speaking to say it is small for a reason, really to make sure that there's increased chances of delegates, of world leaders running into each other to have those crucial interactions. Now, these interactions are needed now more than ever. That's the message from a number of leaders we've been hearing from at the conference so far. Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, saying that there is a new era of geopolitics. Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, says that a new transatlantic
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.